What's up, Mopar fam? I hope everybody out there is having a fantastic time. So today, we're finally going to get started on this supercharger build. So the first piece of the puzzle we got is the intercooler that we're going to run. And we're going to try to get this thing installed today also. And I do want to mention that this is not a bolt-on direct fit. You're not going to find that unless you get one custom made. And as you can see, I ended up going with CX Racing. This intercooler is actually for a Fox body Mustang, but the measurements from what I have taken on the truck, I do believe this is going to be the best one to run for the build that we're going for and for a budget type scenario. So let's go with getting this thing mocked up and installed. My goal is we're going to mount this intercooler on the truck, and then we'll leave the little caps on it until we get the supercharger here. And then once we get the supercharger, we're going to start installing that supercharger, and then we'll start mocking up the piping for it. Let's get to work. The other thing I wanted to show you guys, and I didn't really show, is this thing is really nice quality. It really is. Even for 300 bucks, these welds look really, really nice. It's very well welded. The materials is nice. And it's not light. Like, this thing has a lot of material. It's very solid looking and filling. And again, I think it's going to work just fine. It's a 3.5-inch core. Supposed to be good up to 800 horsepower. So we're going to run with it. All right, so the first step, guys, is we're going to need to get this grill off. We're going to need to get this plastic cover off, which is just held on by those little press clips. You just pull them out. Usually you can just pull up on this plastic lid and this stuff will pop right up, kind of like that. So we're going to pull off this plastic cover and start getting the grill off. So here we go. All right, let's get this cover off real quick. Not too bad. Pretty simple right here to get this off. I'm just going to go lay this in the back of the truck for right now. Alright, now for the grill, it's got a few bolts or screws in the top right here, and then the bottom just pulls out. It's got clips in it. So I'll show you these bolts up here. Alright, so we're going to need to take out this screw, and I believe all these are 10 millimeters. So there's one here, there's one there, there's one here, and there's one there. Once you get those top bolts off, then it pretty much just pulls straight out. Alright, we got our 4 screws out. Now we're going to pull this front grill out. You just kind of want to be careful, and you pretty much pull it evenly straight towards you. You don't want to just pull on the top and not pull on the bottom. You kind of got to pull it together so it comes straight out. Alright, so usually the best way I have found is usually to kind of grab inside here, just kind of put a few fingers in the bottom. And the top is already loose, so it's the bottom you're trying to pull out of these clips. So you just kind of pull out. And it can be a little tight sometimes. There you go. One grill off. Go put this in the back of the truck. Okay, so Next thing we're going to do is, on the Pro Charger kits, these horns usually have to be relocated. And I know this is going to be in the way of our intercooler that we're installing. So we're going to go ahead and unbolt these horns and move them to the side. And we'll figure out where we're going to put them later. But for right now, we're going to get them out of the way. And then we're also going to have to relocate or change our overflow tank for the radiator. The little coolant box right here, that also will have to be moved or changed to a different design and moved somewhere else. But basically our intercooler piping is going to be coming right through there, so that's going to have to be moved also. So here's our horns that we're going to get out of the way real quick. It looks like there's just a 10 millimeter on the back of this bracing. So we're going to unbolt it and just lay them over to the side. And then we're going to start laying the intercooler up here and seeing what it looks like. And it is a 10 millimeter as well. Alright, so you see we have a big electrical connector here. I'm just going to lay it over the top here. That was also bolted to that horn bracket. And I'm going to unplug the electrical connectors to the horns. Alright, so I wanted to zoom in on this horn. Pretty much simple. There's two electrical connectors. We've already unplugged one. These connectors are pretty standard. They got a little red safety clip here. What you're going to do is push the red clip towards the back and you'll hear it click. Once that is released, then you can press on the little tab right here and you just pull the connector straight off, and then the horn assembly is off. So we're going to lay this to the side for right now, and then we're going to grab the intercooler and set it up here and just kind of see what everything looks like, because like I said, we're making this thing work together as we go. It has not really been done, you know, there's really no instructions at all, and that's why we're making this video. So we're going to make everything work. That's all I know. So this is the first time I have even put this intercooler up here to even see what it looks like, guys. Again, when I ordered this, I pretty much took my grill off and I got a tape measure and I measured this area and just kind of came up with a good idea of how much room we had. And then I looked for intercoolers based off those dimensions. So here we go, cross our fingers. Alright, so it looks like, and I pretty much was figuring that. So lengthwise, guys, this thing is perfect. There's plenty of room in here lengthwise from one side to the other. And there's plenty of room from the top to the bottom. But what's happening right here is it looks like this little cooler in front of the radiator. So the bottom of the intercooler right here is actually sitting on top of this and hitting this. So it's not allowing us to completely put the intercooler in there exactly where I need it to be. So what we're going to have to do is unbolt this, and we're probably going to have to see if we can drop it down some and then reattach it. Basically it'll be a little bit lower. So that's pretty much the plan. So we're going to either have to lower this down some, or we're going to have to move it out some so we got a little bit of clearance. So let me get those bolts out and see what we can do. So I think that plan is going to work pretty good, guys. This cooler right here in the front, let me grab the camera. And bear with me, I got this camera mounted to a very tall tripod right now, so it's kind of hard to move it around. But here's our cooler. there's a 10mm bolt right here, and then there's one right here. We're going to take them out, and then this thing will be loose, and it has an in and an out on the same side towards the driver's side, and these are metal lines, but then right back here it goes into a rubber, like just rubber hose. So what we're going to do is we're going to unbolt it. I'm going to let it drop down and hang there for a minute. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make a couple little brackets to basically more or less give that cooler a lowering kit. Basically, as the idea, we're just going to drop it down. So we'll drop it down probably a few inches, and not a big deal. And again, like I said, I went to Home Depot and I got a bunch of strips of aluminum, so they're easy to drill in case of stuff like this, so we can make, you know, quick and easy brackets. So let me get this unbolted and drop it down, and then we're going to try to stick the intercooler in there and see how it looks after that. So as you can see, we have it unbolted, and with those rubber hoses on the other end where it connects to these metal pipes, and that's pretty much what I expected. There's lots of play and movement in those hoses, so you have plenty of slack. As you can see, that's where it was attached, and with it unbolted, we can drop it way down if we want. And so that's going to work good. We'll just make a couple of little lowering brackets for it, and it'll just be hanging down a little bit lower than it was. So for right now, I'm just going to let it dangle down here. Right here. Wish I had some help holding the camera and stuff. This would make my life a lot easier, but so that's one bolt hole, cooler was, and then the other one is right there. So basically we're just going to make a couple of brackets we'll bolt from those factory bolt holes, and they'll probably be 2 or 3 inches long, and we'll bolt them to those factory locations, and then we'll have another hole on the lower end of it to bolt the cooler to. Basically just dropping it down, like I said. Not a big deal. We'll work past that scenario. So I'm going to grab the intercooler and drop it in there and see what we're looking like now. All right, let's see if she fits now. Whoa, buddy, she is tight. So we're definitely in there now, but it's kind of hitting this overflow tank a little bit. It's still pretty tight, and this overflow tank's gonna have to go. So we're gonna get it unbolted. It looks like it's a couple 10mm, so we're gonna get it out and then try again. So to get this overflow tank out, there's a hose that runs up to your radiator cap pretty much. You're gonna pull it off. Might leak out a little bit. And then it looks like there's a 10mm here, and there's one down here on the bottom, and that's pretty much all I see. And it looks like it just kind of slides into these little clips right here, or little bracket holders. So we're going to get it unbolted and get it out of our way. And that is it. There's only 2 bolts. And then you just lift straight up on it and it pops out.
we go. Nothing too crazy. Right here on the back of the tank, there's a little groove, little channel here, and they had some a piece of wiring sheave that runs into here and it holds it. No wiring going to this that plugs to it, just it runs in this channel right here. That's all, so you just had to kind of pull it out. Now let's try it. See if we can get it in here now. Yeah, definitely got a lot more room now. It looks like it should sit roughly about right here. In this general area. Looks pretty badass if you ask me, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think you could really fit a bigger intercooler in here than this. It would be really tough. There's a lot of room, but there really isn't. So, with that said, I think I'm going to start measuring up some brackets and getting the brackets at least cut. Alright guys, so what we're going to do real quick, we're going to go ahead and lower our cooler. So I've already cut one bracket. So I went with the 1-inch thick flat bar to make our drop brackets. So these two brackets are going to be 6 inches long, and then we're going to drill a hole, a 5/16 hole, towards the end of each one. It don't have to be exact, but we're just going to put a hole on each end of this bracket. So I'm gonna get to drilling, and I'll show you what it looks like when we get done. All right, we got our first bracket drilled. 2 holes, one on each end. I got some hardware. This is just some 1/4 bolts, some flat washers, and a couple nylon lock nuts. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this bracket completely installed on one side of the cooler, and then we'll cut out the other one. All right guys, so show you what's up with these drop brackets. We got them both cut. That's the passenger side, that's the driver side, and I've already got it attached. That's the factory bolt that was holding the cooler up to that bracket. As you can see, we have our drop bracket attached to the factory bolt, and then it comes down 6 inches, and I have just a regular 1/4 nut and bolt that's attached to the bottom of the cooler where it used to be bolted to here. We're going to do the same thing over here, just like so, and that's what it's going to look like. You can see we're dropped down below that bracket now, and it's going to work really nice. Nothing to it. So I'm going to finish it up and get that all bolted up, guys. We got it completely bolted down. It's dropped down underneath that lower brace. Solid. Thing is not moving anywhere, guys. Those aluminum brackets, that material is going to come in really handy with doing this job. It's they're easy to drill, they're easy to move around. All in all, super easy. So that is completely done. Now we're going to work on these brackets. That is going to go from here to the lower brace on both sides to bolt the intercooler to the truck. My idea, as far as brainstorming, was to take some of this flat bar, whoops, kick the camera, and actually cut it to the length we need, and then screw it or bolt it, whatever, to these support bars, and then basically that would give us a couple of flat areas, one on each side, more or less like this. And then that would give us area to mount that intercooler to, because like I said, on the intercooler on both sides it has 2 L brackets that has 2 holes in it to be able to bolt the intercooler to something flat. So that's the idea, is trying to get this stuff in here so that we can mount that intercooler to these brackets, and that's what's going to hold it up. That's my idea. So I'm going to start cutting these down to the length, and then we'll find out where we're going to put them. Alright guys, so we're working on the driver's side bracket to hold the intercooler on. So yeah, this is the 1.5 inch bracket, or flat bar, that I got from Home Depot. So we cut this bracket It's about 18¼ inches long. And then we drilled one hole towards the bottom, and it's actually going to sit right here where the windshield washer fluid reservoir is. There's a bolt that holds the bottom of it that we can actually use for the bottom bolt of this bracket. So we actually slide this behind and pull that tank forward, and we can drop it right in where we can use the factory bolt hole and bolt for the window washer fluid reservoir. And then we're going to drill, you see right here through the top frame, there's actually a hole right here. Right there. I'm going to get a drill bit. We're going to drill the back side of this bracket so we can put a nut and a bolt through there to hold the top part of this flat bar. And then this bracket will be completely bolted in for our intercooler. So once I get that completely mocked up, guys, and bolted in, I'll show you exactly what it looks like. So we got the bracket completely bolted in. We got a 1/4 bolt up here going through the top of this cross member right up here. And then we're using a factory 10mm bolt that holds the bottom of the windshield washer fluid reservoir to the lower bracket right here. So it's bolted in nice and solid. We're about to drill the 2 holes for the intercooler to mount this side of the intercooler to our new bracket we just made. So let's get to drilling. So we got our bracket cut for this passenger side, and I just wanted to show you something. So to get a bolt for the top, what we actually had to do, because it didn't line up with this hole that's already factory drilled like we did on the other side, we had to drill a hole right here, a bigger hole. This is a 1/2 inch hole that I drilled, and then on the back side we drilled a 5/16 hole for our hardware that's going to hold the bracket on. And I just wanted to show you a little trick to get this bolt back there, because it's not going to fit through here with the washer on it, and we want to use a washer. So if you have a little magnet, what you're going to do is feed that magnet through the hole we drilled and up through this factory slot up here on the top, like that. And you're going to stick your bolt to the end of it, and then you're going to fish it back down through the hole like so. And then you're going to turn your magnet and then find the hole you drilled in the back, just like so, and push it back there. And then you got your bolt sticking through the top of this frame support for our intercooler bracket. As you know, we already got the driver's side bracket in and the bolt holes drilled and everything for the intercooler to bolt onto it. We just got this bracket bolted in. We got one bolt up here at the top, and we got one bolt down here on the lower cross member right here. And we have our 2 holes marked in the center for the intercooler to bolt to our new bracket we made. So we're going to start drilling holes for that. Alright, so we got both brackets bolted on, and we're ready to hang this intercooler on and put some bolts in it and bolt it in. So let's get it going. I don't know about you guys, but that looks hot damn badass. Yeah, come on. Get 2 more bolts in it, and then we're going to tighten this thing up. Tighten this dude down, baby. And she's pretty dang solid. That thing ain't going nowhere, Chuck. well, let's put our grill back on and make sure everything fits. Moment of truth. All right, so we're back. And I don't know if you can tell, but I went to put the grill on and it was a little tight with the grill. So I spared you guys the time of redoing this, but basically what I had to do is I had to move the intercooler up some, and we have it pretty much as close to the top of this top crossbar as we can possibly get. There's about a ½ inch of clearance right there, but basically what was happening is the intercooler was too low and it was hitting the bottom part of the honeycomb of the grill. Now, I was able to pretty much shove it on there, but I didn't really like that because it was going to be pretty much rubbing on the grill the whole time. So what we're going to do is, like I said, I moved it up and that gave us some more room, and now it's just literally barely touching. So what I'm going to do is, I kind of marked it. I don't know if you can see the blue paint, but from this section to this section and from here to there on this lower section on the black honeycomb, I'm actually going to kind of just shave down the inside of this honeycomb. We're just going to shave some of this down on the bottom to give us more clearance from the intercooler. That way it's not sitting there rubbing on the intercooler the whole time. Like I said, right now it will fit on there and I can shove it on there and bolt everything up. I just don't really like the fact that it's going to rub. So we're going to shave this grill down a little bit and that should make us perfect. So let's get to it. But other than that, that looks badass. All right, we're just going to use a little hand grinder to shave down this plastic on the inside, and that should do us pretty good. But we just ground down the bottom of this grill a little bit. On the back side, you're not going to notice anything from the front. We'll clean those edges up with a razor blade, and then we're going to try this thing on again. All right, guys. We got the grill ground down just enough to clear the intercooler. So we're going to put it on and just make sure that it fits good real quick. All right, all of our bolt holes are lining up. We didn't have to jam it on there very hard. And that's it. So that intercooler fits in there pretty much like a glove. I mean, if it was any bigger, this probably would not have happened. But yeah, looks pretty good. Check it out. Not too bad. I'm definitely digging it. It's definitely weird seeing an intercooler on this truck. I honestly never thought that this truck would probably have boost on it, but it's about to. Alright, so I'm going to pull the grill back off and we're going to figure out where we're going to, we're going to figure out what we're going to do with the horns that we took off in this bracket right here for this electrical connector. So I'm going to take the grill off and figure out if we can relocate the horns and that bracket right there. That was easier than I thought. So we got the horns mounted back in and that electrical connector. And believe it or not, the horns actually bolted right back in the factory location without interfering with our intercooler. So that was awesome. Now for the electrical connector, one of the bolts that we installed to hold the intercooler bracket up here at the top was actually long enough, had enough threads sticking out, so I was actually able to just mount it to that bolt and add an extra nut to that assembly to hold on that electrical connector. So check it out. So here is the electrical connector right there. And you can see the extra nut we added on to our bracket we installed. And it has the electrical connector mounted right there. So that works and fits just perfect. And then our horns are sitting right in the factory location where they used to be. And they're close to everything, but there's plenty of room. They clear, they work. Wasn't a big problem at all. Worked out very well. So now that that part is done, it is time to either put back the factory overflow tank for the radiator, or we're going to have to mock up something. Honestly, I don't know what we're going to do yet, but I'm going to play with it here for a second and see what I come up with. All right, guys, we got everything on. We got the grill on, got the cover on. We got my makeshift overflow tank installed right now. Not gonna lie, I actually didn't even think about the overflow tank, that we would probably be moving it or getting rid of the factory one right now. So I didn't have anything to replace it with. So right now we actually just made what I call a Valvoline jerry-rigged overflow tank. So check it out. So until we can get a nice aftermarket overflow tank, we are gonna run Mr. Valvoline right there. It's just a Valvoline rear end fluid bottle. That's all it is. And got the hose running just right into the top of it for right now. There's no pressure on your overflow tank. The purpose of it is just to burp extra fluid in to that reservoir. So it's really not a big deal. But for right now, that's going to work until we get one ordered and figure out where I want to put it. But really, until we get the supercharger on and get rid of the Mopar intake and get that mounted, then I will know better. I will have a better idea of where to mount an overflow tank on the truck. But for right now, we're going to run Mr. Valvoline and the zip tie until we get it all done. But I think that's going to do it for this video, guys. That's the intercooler installed. That's the one I'm going to run. Next video will probably end up being, hopefully, the supercharger will be here and we can do an unboxing on that and start working on getting the main components mounted up on the truck. So, as always, don't forget to tap that subscribe button. Hit that bell button for the notifications. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next one.